Hey, it's Trust Oscar Mike Radio. I am on the move. Like I said, trying to do 7 episodes of content in a weekend, and this is like number 3 or 4. I've lost track. Anyway, I'm in Fall River at the Fall River Rod and Gun Club with Rich, who runs the archery program.
Chuck.
I'll cut all that out.
Going to start all over again?
Yeah, no problem. This happens.
You're in Westport, actually. This is Westport, Mass., not Fall River Rod and Gun Club.
But it's called the Fall River Gun Club?
Yeah.
Thank God for retakes. Here we go, and rolling. Hey, good morning, afternoon. It's Travis Oscar Mike Radio. I'm in Westport, Massachusetts, just finishing up a archery shoot at the Fall River Rod and Gun Club. And I'm with Chuck, who leads the archery program here. He allowed veterans, wanted veterans, asked veterans to come and shoot here free today. And I just got done shooting with my rig over there. I'm on the Reedys Veterans Archery Team. Chuck, welcome to Oscar Mike Radio.
Thank you very much, and thank you for coming, and thank you for your service.
Appreciate it. You know, we were talking before this, and we met at Chris Reed's and Reedys Archery, and he's done so much for veterans with the veterans team there. What's it like to see veterans start embracing archery, at this level?
I think it's excellent. I think it's amazing. I'm in awe of the veterans for what they've done for us. My father was a veteran. My uncles, my grandmother and grandfather were World War I veterans. So to see them out and enjoying the outdoors again, I think it's terrific.
So tell me, because a lot of people don't know, what is the Tri-County 3D Archery League? What's that all mean?
The Tri-County 3D Archery League is an organization of just 12 local Tri-County League gun clubs that have joined together to perform a weekly shoot and not compete against each other. And the idea being is today the shoot is at Fall River. Last week it was at Rentham. Every week there's a shoot someplace else. We start shooting on the first weekend in January. And we go to the end of October. And this shoot today actually is an additional shoot that Fall River Rod and Gun Club elected to do on their own in conjunction with Veterans Day as a way to help our veterans.
Not just veterans. It's today's Marine Corps birthday, Chuck. So it's even more special.
Well, sir, I'm ignorant to that because I've never been there.
No problem. But
happy birthday to the Marine Corps, then.
This is why I told you I was so pumped to be here. I'm like, this is the Marine Corps birthday. I shot my best score today. It's a beautiful day.
You didn't cheat, did you?
I did not cheat. I took pictures of everything. I don't want anything I didn't earn, but just to walk around, I mean, every course is different, right?
Yes. And my course, the next time I have it set up, my course will be different.
Really?
You have a deer target at, say, target number 30 today. You probably won't see a deer at number 30 again all next year. And I keep records of all my shoots and what target has been in what place. I like to have a lot of variety, and the people really enjoy that. Some clubs, you got the same targets all the time. And in a way, it kind of gets a little bit boring.
Right.
So that's why I try and mix it up.
One target that really got me, and I'm like, it looked easier than it was number 26 down on the water. It was an amazing shot. I'm thinking, that's like 40 yards. That's not that hard. I'm gonna crush this. And I was off. The way the target is angled, it really kind of got in your head a little bit. That was a really special wrinkle. How do you factor that in when you're building your courses?
I just look at it, let's make this interesting, and let's make it different than it was the last time. And it doesn't have to be long to be difficult, as you well know.
No.
And the factor at the beach was you're out on that point, and you also had the wind to contend with.
Yes.
And you're shooting across water.
Yep.
And that makes it difficult to judge the yardage as well.
I misjudged the angle, and I'm thinking my arrow had to catch some wind because it was pushed to the left a lot. And so I'm like, I got a lot to learn. And speaking of learning, I get out and start getting into archery, and I start getting my rig, dialed in. And I don't know about you, but I learn something new every time I shoot. Is that what makes archery fun to you?
Yes, and to me, it's a constant struggle. You feel you get one part of it down, and it's like a balloon. You squeeze it on one end, and it pops out on the other. There's always going to be something.
Right.
You're never going to put it together 100% complete. And that's what keeps it interesting. It doesn't get boring at all.
I've never gotten what I consider the perfect shot ever doing this. And it's really like I looked forward to the day, like this is the last one of the year. Let's see if I've learned anything. And I think overall I did all right, but I'm hungry for more. And that kind of leads me to my next thing. You know, a lot of veterans I talk to say there's nothing to do. No one really has anything for us. But I've noticed that, you know, you approached me at Chris Reedys and said, look, if you're a veteran, come down and shoot at my club. I want you there. Is there a real desire in your mind to have veterans really embrace this?
Well, absolutely. And I'm involved in another organization as well called Boston Bowhunter. And we do a lot for a veterans organization with them. We donate a lot of money to them as a result of our fundraising events that we have. We have ice fishing tournaments, and we have 3D archery shoots. This year alone, we donated $5,000 from the
That's
proceeds
amazing.
from the proceeds from the shoot that we had at the Fall River Rod and Gun Club on the 2nd of June this year.
Yeah.
It was great.
So I just want to bring over my bow real quick and have you look at it. And just, I don't know, we're kind of having some fun here, but just a lot of people look at this and they get real intimidated and they don't know what they're seeing here. So I kind of know what's on my rig, but I just kind of, for the people watching this and are going to be watching this, if you kind of go over my rig and kind of tell them what you see on this thing. So this is my bow. It's almost got that. This is a Hoyt here. So I'm going to start with, a lot of people are confused about these. I mean, they've been called wheels.
Yeah.
And they're not wheels, right? What do you call these?
That's a cam.
Okay.
And that is configured and shaped so that as you draw back on the string, it rotates and gives more power, because as this rotates that way, it makes it longer.
Gotcha.
So when you let it go, it's going to rip and it's going to throw that arrow even faster.
Gotcha. And then a lot of people ask me about this. They're like, it's a rod. I'm like, no, it's not a rod.
Yeah, that's a stabilizer.
Okay.
And that helps you to stabilize the bow and keep it steady while you're shooting. Right. A lot of people will have a longer stabilizer. You'll notice the target shooters will have a stabilizer that's 3 feet long out in front.
Right.
And some people also have a stabilizer on the back. There's a place for it right here, and it's called a back bar, and you can adjust it so that helps you to balance the bow better. It adds weight to the bow, and it helps you to hold the bow steady.
So this is my sight. Now, bow sights are just as different as all bows. What's different about this sight in your eyes that you see?
This is a single pin sight.
Yeah.
As opposed to a sight that will have multiple pins.
Right.
If a multiple pin sight, you would have what sight set at 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards, and 50 yards, for instance. And if you think a shot is in between 30 and 40 yards, you're going to have to try and pin gap that and guesstimate the difference in between, and that's where you're going to put your pin. This sight here is a single pin. If you know it's 35 yards, you can turn this dial and you can adjust it. After it's sighted in, you can adjust it so it's 35 yards.
Gotcha.
So you don't have to do any of that guesswork.
Well, it works real well for me. I'm not going to kid you. It works really well for me. Last thing is the actual arrow itself. Now, let me see if I can do this without, okay, very carefully. Oh, I actually got that right. What is it? I mean, people ask me about these arrows, and I've tried to explain to them, but just starting from the front to the back, let's do that. I tell people this is not a true hunting tip. This is a target tip.
That's a target tip. It's called a field tip.
Field tip.
And the field tips are several different shapes.
Okay.
But they're made to just pierce the target, the foam target, and not cut anything.
Gotcha.
When you pull that out, that foam, on these 3D targets, that foam will close up as you pull it out. And you're not tearing the foam up.
Gotcha.
And the foam targets will last a long, long time.
So
I have targets here at my club that are 20 years old.
Get out, really?
Yep.
So, and I tell people this is the shaft, actually, this is a spine, right?
Yeah, then the spine is the strength of the shaft,
Gotcha.
the flex, The stronger, the more poundage you're shooting, the heavier spine you need.
Right.
Because you don't want to shoot and have this arrow go off wobbling, because it'll wobble like that.
Right.
Now you're shooting it. That's a 250, 400 spine.
400 spine.
Yeah.
Is that like a pretty?
That's probably pretty much middle of the road for most compound bows.
Right.
Some guys will shoot a stiffer spine. They're probably shooting in excess of 60 or 65 pounds, maybe 70 or 75 pounds. And again, you need a lower number will give you a stiffer spine.
So I'm shooting 70 pounds there,
Mm-hmm.
and it works real well for me. So this is a pretty good match for
Yep.
me. Now, I call these veins, and there's another word for these, right?
It's called fletching as well.
Fletching.
Yep. Some fletching is longer, and that's a personal preference.
Yeah.
It will affect the way it flies and stabilizes the arrow in flight. Some arrows are also fletched with 4 veins instead of 3.
Okay.
And again, that's a lot of it's a personal preference.
And I get asked all the time, Chuck, why are there 2 the same and 1 not the same?
That's so that you put the arrow on your string the same way every time.
Every time.
The cock feather is always going to, in yours, probably the cock feather is always up.
Yes.
Correct.
And then this is simply the knock.
The knock that attaches to the string, that powers, and it keeps the string centered, and it powers right through the center of the shaft.
Gotcha.
It's pushing.
So,
and when it comes off, this is flexible, and it just releases from the string.
that's awesome.
There are also lighted knocks,
Oh, that's right.
and when you shoot it, there's like a little tiny switch in there, and it will turn that lighted knock on. So you see it flying through the air, you can see the light. And the idea of that is, for hunting purposes, you got a better chance of finding your arrow, and even if it's perhaps stuck in the animal, if it's running off, you're going to see it, and you're going to have a better idea, hopefully, to locate it.
So a lot of people tell me that, oh my God, this is very intimidating. There's a lot of moving parts. Well, what do I do? How do I get into this? What do you tell somebody who's wanting to get into archery, just brand new?
I say go to a local archery shop.
Yeah.
There are several shops. They all advertise in the Tri-County book locally. You have, in no particular order, you have Trader Jan's right here in Fall River.
Yeah.
You have X-Spot Archery in Attleboro. And you have Reedys Archery in Middleborough.
Gotcha.
And they're all great shops. They all stock a lot of equipment, and every one of them will go out of their way to help you.
Well, that's what I noticed being on Chris Reed's veterans team is he took some of these veterans in and got them dialed in, something that worked for them at a price that was reasonable. You don't have to spend $1 million to have fun with archery, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's a great sport. It's a lot of fun. It can consume you, as you well know.
Like I couldn't wait till this morning to get up to actually do this. That's how bad it is for me.
Yeah, I believe it. I was wide awake at 3:45 this morning, knowing I had to be here to get set up, to finish setting up, and so I was ready for when the people showed up at 6:30.
So I got here, and just to tell you, the course went near to the entrance of the gun club, and then took me through the woods, and it was just wide paths to walk. Everything was easy to find. The shots were challenging, but not. I didn't lose any arrows today, which is something that usually happens, or maybe I'm getting better. But it was just easy to walk through, and I think the coolest thing was seeing like groups of people with families. This can become a real family thing, right?
Yeah, and the kids, anybody under 18 years old, shoots for free.
Oh wow.
Every time. And I've seen kids came in when they were just 5 and 6 years old, and now they're aged out and they're going to have to stop paying, But it's great to see the kids.
Awesome. Well, as a veteran who was out of it and then got back into it, I hang around other veterans that shoot, and we're all getting into this and meeting people like yourself who supports us. It's just a great thing. And again, so many guys tell me, and women too, oh, there's nothing to do. I'm like, that's complete. You don't even have to shoot. So you come up here and volunteer or, meet other people and have a good time. And I have to tell you, I felt like I was at home in your club today. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome, and we're glad you came. And again, thank you for your service.
No problem, no problem. I'm Travis with Oscar Mike Radio. This is Chuck with Tri-County Archery League, 3D Archery League, excuse me. And I am pleased to be at the Fall River Rod and Gun Club in Westport. I am locked through launch to Article 15 in Weymouth. We're on the move. Thank you very much.
Terrific.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, I'll take that back, cut it, the first part especially, and probably in a week or so you'll see it on. I'll have it on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
No, absolutely. That's the whole point. Is I'm trying to. This is all about getting people like yourself who give the veterans a way to talk about it without having to seem like you're just self-promoting. And it works out really well, and a lot of people enjoy it. And I'm trying to get more veterans to shoot because a lot of guys tell me they sit at home and do nothing. I'm like, there's more to life than sitting at home drinking.
Now, have you met Todd Krevia? Do you know Todd Krevia from New England Adventures?
I have not. No.
You need to talk to him.
Really?
Yes, sir. He's started New England Adventures, and they take
camera.
They take veterans on hunting trips and fishing trips. All expenses paid. They take them on bear hunts, sea duck hunts.